Good morning, everyone. It's May 24th, 2019. So, um, today I'm going to talk to you about troubleshooting problems. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I keep getting hit one right after another with major problems. And sometimes you want to lose your temper no matter what you do. No matter how hard you try to fix the problems, as soon as you get one problem wrapped up, another one emerges. So I've been working on my truck, and one of the deals with troubleshooting problems is, especially when it comes to vehicles, you have to start with the least expensive thing. It's the only logical thing to do. So I did that. I changed my tie rods in my on my truck, and I still have a major vibration going on. It's not unbalanced tires, and I figured out what it was. It's called a torque converter. Now I've pulled trannies before, and I never pulled the torque converter out. I just swapped transmissions. This is not a terribly difficult thing to do, especially in my truck. It is a little bit of a pain in the ass, considering we're about to be struck with a major heat wave here next week. So when you're, and this principle can apply to any problem. And I'm only human. My first reaction is to get pissed off about it, okay? But after I get pissed off and my mind clears, that's when the real work begins. And the same thing, it goes with any problem. Marriage problems, children problems, you name it. You start with the least painful thing, and then when that doesn't work, you try something else, maybe a little more painful, right? But if you're drowning in your emotions, you're never going to solve the problems. All you're going to do is create more problems within your family, like I did this morning, okay? I really upset my wife because I was really, really pissed off. And like I said, I'm only human. And when you get hit with a problem, as soon as you get out of bed, you don't even get an opportunity to fully wake up. It gets your mind racing, and it gets you to be where you're pretty pissed off. And I'm no exception to this. I get pissed off, about one problem after another. This is one of the deals with shit hitting the fan, is your options are more vast in a situation where there's no rule of law or government to persecute you or prosecute you when you need to do things that keep you alive. But when you're dealing with these problems in our current situation, your options are really limited. Now, a torque converter don't cost that much. It's about $80. Takes about 6 hours to do. Maybe even less on my truck because I don't have to move the exhaust out of the way or none of that stuff. So it's not that big of a deal, right? Until you factor in having to shuffle kids to school and yourself to work and your wife to work, and then the problem is much more complicated at that point. It's not just as simple as me going out in the driveway and undoing my transmission, dropping it, pulling the torque converter, and replacing it. I have to go to work, right? My wife has to go to work. My son has to go to school, at least for the next week. And my daughter has to go to one of our family members' house. And without a car, how are you going to get them there, right? So it's easy to fall into an emotional rage. It really is. And it's not so easy to come out of one. It's only when you realize what you've done that that rage goes away, and then you're left with what you've done. And I'm no one to talk about this because I have a big ass mouth and very sharp teeth. I wish I could say I was a perfectly compassionate person, but I cannot say this. I'm not really a compassionate person. Very few people have ever showed me compassion, and as a result, it's kind of made me the way I am. When you have a family, you're supposed to work as a team. The entire burden of the family's problems should not be left on the shoulders of one person. And this is the situation I find myself in. And this is why I got so angry. So I go to drop my son off at his bus stop. And so my truck won't start. It goes, and I'm like, great, fucking A, great. Not usually a big deal. It's usually just a loose battery cable. But this morning it was a lot different. It took me about an hour and a half to break shit down and rewire it and make sure everything was the way it was supposed to be. I carry baking soda and water in my truck because if you mix the two together and dump it on your battery terminal, it eats away all the corrosion on your wires. Well, I did that and it still didn't work. So I had to start stripping down the shit, and I finally got through the problem. But meanwhile, my wife, she didn't want to take responsibility for getting herself to work. She wanted to throw a temper tantrum about me telling her, you're going to have to solve your own problem this time because I've got my own problems. The truck. And it didn't go very well after that. You have to work as a team to solve the problems. Otherwise, when you leave the burden of all the problems on one person, that person will eventually crack. And I did. I did crack. Now, if we apply this to shit hit the fan, say shit hit the fan, I would not need their input, because that's the environment I'm made for. This environment, I'm not so much made for this. But one thing after another, right? One thing after another. And it's hard to take. Very hard to take. I mean, I guess I could go and lease a car, but we're talking about $600-700 a month. Where am I going to come up with that much extra money? So, it all boils down to that too, money. If you have enough money, no problem that you have is too big. But when you're experiencing sliding into poverty, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. I've been working, maybe not as much as I should, but whatever extra money we end up with, it always goes towards a problem, always, without fail. And it's no wonder people out there are popping pills to the degree they are, and smoking weed to the degree they are, or eating Xanaxes or Mollies or ecstasy or any of it, because they are being bombarded by problems that they can't solve. And as hard as I try, it doesn't seem like I'm solving our problems either. So, torque converter. That's my next project. It should be pretty much a pain in the ass, just simply because that is the nature of working on cars. What bolt's going to get stuck, you know. And I will continue to make the videos while I'm doing this. If I have to do it next week, then I'm only going to be out there during the early morning hours, right when the sun starts to come up, and when it begins to go down. I have to make sure I don't overheat myself and all that crap. But I'll continue to make the videos, and no matter what happens, I will make videos. And thank you to Killing Time. I appreciate your support very much. Very, very much. I can't tell you how many times in the last couple months, maybe a little more, how many times a couple of my subscribers have bailed my ass out of fucking trouble. And it's just problems that creep up when you have one car and that car is old. You've bailed me out a couple of times, like 4, and I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate what you've done for me. And I will continue to push on no matter how hard I get hit. Hope you all have a better day than I'm going to have, and kill the state, live free.